Hello and welcome back to the 2018 Canadian University Ultimate Championships. We are here in beautiful Brampton, Ontario. The wind picking up a lot. We've seen weather all throughout the day. We've got the women's game to go on our hands. The University of Toronto taking on McMaster University for a spot in Division I Nationals. It's Becky Thompson here in the booth, joined by Lorcan Murray. And what do you think we are going to be seeing here today?
Well, to quote the marvelous Flight of the Conchords, it is business time. We see two teams, both of whom competed in Division I last year, with their fingertips ever so tenuously grasped around that opportunity one more time, but there can only be one. McMaster is going up against the University of Toronto. I think we can expect intensity. I think we can expect zone. And I think we can expect both teams trying to just calm themselves and focus on their throws. And the team that's best able to do that will be the one we will see tomorrow in Division I.
So Emily Tran gets us underway, and immediately that zone look from McMaster down here as Lyle shoots it back into the middle of the field there. Alice Zhao looking for an option. And just that one too low to the ground. The pressure already from the McMaster zone there, not providing too many dump options, and the first turnover in the game, a chance for McMaster to go upwind.
So an early turn, let's see if they can cash it in.
Looking for the reset back into the middle of the field. Zhu shoots that one to the far sideline. Holstering, good holster there as Zhu goes back up line. That one's gonna sit up into her hands. A good grab under some pressure defense from Lamb there. A few yards out of the end zone looking for an upwind break. That one sits up, and it's gonna work here for McMaster, getting the first point of this game upwind.
A substantial score and an absolutely dream start. Not just the first point, but a flawless hold from your D line. And a lot, and by a lot I mean pretty much all of the credit for that has to go to Leila Zhu.
Yeah, Leila Zhu going 1 and 2 up the line there, making this look easy upwind, and they get a chance to get that natural wind break on their side. We saw a good zone look from them as well there.
So, talking before the game to Emily Tran, she was saying something we really wanted to focus on was calming down our zone offense. And it seems like that time they were just guilty of throwing into the jaws of it. They thought they could get through that window, and it was slammed shut in their faces. Excellently done by McMasters, and able to cash it in for the upwind break.
So we'll see now Toronto's O-line for the second time. See what they can do upwind. Emily Tran, a central handler on this offensive line with the likes of Lyle as well. So we'll see what they can do. They're without one of their best players, Reeve Chan, unfortunately injured in the Canadian Eastern Championship, and she's taking it easy as she's got USA Nationals in San Diego next weekend as well.
So she's picked US Nationals over the opportunity to qualify for Div 1 of the CUUC. A debatable decision.
So more in a coach role here today as this disc will be brought in just in front of the brick, a few yards. Emily Tran will bring it into the middle of the field. You can see McMaster already set up, ready for that zone defense.
A little intimidating, almost like a gang just waiting for her.
Disc tapped in with Tran. Lyle immediately crashes into the cup. Only has Tran back. She shoots that one all the way to the far side. A great look there. Now back with Lyle. Shooting through. Great second effort grab. The touch defense through the cup, but keeping that one alive. Candice Lamb gets it back to Tran.
Phenomenal play by Lamb, and showing you just how much hunger every player on this pitch has. This is for Div 1. This is for their season, to keep it alive.
Tran trying to force that one through the cup, and Kristen Tam from McMaster doing a good job reading that one the second time that Toronto has tried to go through the wall. This time, again, McMaster was ready. And another chance for a break, this time going downwind, looking for the reset. Shooting that one back, but unfortunately can't come down with that one. Sarah Floyd going the wrong direction, but this time, again, miscommunications happening on both sides of the disc.
You could see Floyd Zhang, sorry, after throwing that one, just kind of admonish herself, going, yep, that was stupid and I shouldn't have done that. So now McMaster's with another chance for a break.
Floyd with the disc. Looking for an option, isn't finding one, but gets it up line, unfortunately too far ahead of the outstretched hands of her receiver. And now Lyle will go back up line to Tran. Emily Tran shooting that one up line. It hangs up in the wind, and Tayama Lyle does a good job to read that one. Gets both hands on it. Not a lot of movement, no options, and she's forced to go back to the middle. Finds the reset, and now to the break side. Toronto answering back upwind, and this game is tied at 1s.
Both scores being upwind scores as well. So that's a little bit to my confusion. But again, fantastic offensive effort on the second try. When they tried to rush it, when they tried to force it, it didn't work. When they're taking their time, working it together, and being patient, like Tran was saying they were aiming to do in this game, it was more successful. Though we have to say, right now, that zone seems they're doing a fantastic job, McMasters, of seeming like certain options are available and then closing the door in the face of Toronto. So we'll see if they're starting to be able to make it through that zone as the game progresses, because for me, I haven't seen them really solve it. Mostly it was the position of the turn, so they didn't have to deal with it. So I don't think they really know how to get through that zone yet.
Yeah, absolutely. They're going to need to create more movement, and also at that end zone, starting to look very stagnant. They were able to get the cut back to the middle, but after several seconds of just watching the disc there before they started initiating their cuts. So definitely going to need to create more movement, both in their own end in that zone offense as well as in the end zone. So Emily Tran will set to pull. We're not going to see Tran come off the field a lot in this game. Central part of this Toronto offense and defense. Everything on the line. These teams are going to be crossing over a lot between their O and D lines here today. That one's going to sail out of bounds, so it will be brought in at the brick mark. Leah Tackaberry-Giddens can see she's got a cast on her right arm. She does have a broken arm there. Tackaberry-Giddens finds an option on this near sideline. Now back into the middle. Finds Sarah Marr. Marr trying to shoot through, had the hole, but unfortunately that one is going to be too low for Leisha Zhu. Chance for Toronto to get a downwind break here. Put this game back on serve as it's over on the near sideline. Melanie Tran finds Emily Tran back, and now looking for that dump. Emily Tran going every other throw here for the team in blue. Tran shoots the around backhand. Finds Lamb, and Lamb to the end zone. The bid trying to get to that one, but unfortunately it's just too far out of the hands of Zhao.
And I was about to start singing the praises of that put. It seemed like it had just the right amount of float, but couldn't get the curve, and that's what makes it so difficult to be precise with these throws.
Sarah Marr, a central part of this McMaster team, shoots over to the far sideline here. Tackaberry-Giddens looking for an option. Tight zone here from Toronto.
I can't get over the fact that Tackaberry's playing with a cast, and she's clap catching the disc.
Looking back to Marr, being pushed back into their end zone here.
And that's a fantastic run-through block. Bethlehem Tedes, ever the athlete, striding forward and taking that one away.
So now Tran, 2 yards from the end zone, finds an option back. Emily Tran again, every other pass, this time to the break side, just inbounds. Diana Lamb keeping that inside foot just inside the line, and we're back on serve here. The downwind point goes to Toronto.
Excellent stuff from Toronto, able to come out and get the break back. It was fantastic composure for them to have an offensive hold, and then what a way to respond. For a moment it seemed to me like McMasters, as they almost went 2-0 up, were about to tear away with the game. But you can see right now we are in for quite the contest. 2-1.
Toronto, a good job, like you said, not letting McMaster run away with it early in this game. Both these teams in Division 1 last year definitely not going to be letting anything out of their grasp, fighting for every disc here. Game to go. It's the kind of play you want to see from these teams.
And you spoke about how Tram was almost every second pass on that possession. She is so integral to the offense that Toronto like to run, especially when she can hook up with the likes of Diana Lamb and Tima Leal as the real linchpins of this Toronto offense. But again, you have to wonder how much they can play and how much playing 3 high-intensity games can take it out of them. I remember talking to Emily Tran before the game, the captain of Toronto, and she was saying in their first game, the one that they lost, that forced them into this particular matchup, it was their first half they were proud of. In their second half, they started to fall off. They started to flag. Their throws started to get a bit more errant. Their cuts started to get a bit more lazy. So you have to worry, can they keep up this pace for the whole game?
That pull's going to sit up just in front of the brick mark, near the middle of the field, so a good position here for McMaster. See if they can take advantage as Floyd shoots that to Mar right away. Now over to Ray, looking to Mar, crashing into the cup. Sarah Mar shooting to the end zone, a gorgeous put, and unfortunately bobbled off the hands of her receiver. Vivian Liu could not keep that one. A visionary throw there from Sarah Mar.
She saw exactly what was available and took it. Unfortunately, Liu couldn't bring it down, but brilliant expansive play from Mar.
So Lyle gets Toronto back underway. That one picked off the hand block, but it's caught on the second attempt, and Toronto lucky to keep that one in their possession. If that had been caught by McMaster, it would have been Callahan, as Toronto is being pushed further back into their own end zone right now. Looking for an option, goes over, a gorgeous put to the far side of the field. Catherine Zhang now with the disc, surveying for an option, has Lyle crashing in. Lyle holsters the shot through the cup. This McMaster zone tight, and that one unfortunately unable to connect with her receiver. McMaster putting on all kinds of pressure. This back to Sarah Floyd, but unfortunately that one's too low. It's gonna give Toronto good field position here away from their end zone. See if they can work it up past this tight defense here. The 4-person wall from McMaster as Lyle swings it back to Zhang. Zhang finds Lyle again. Trying to go through, but unfortunately that one is too tight of a window in the McMaster Cup. Reading it perfectly as Floyd finds Mar right away. Mar wants that crossfield flick throw, but unfortunately, again, the wind just sitting up a little bit. A good shot once again, but needed to be further to this sideline if it was going to stay up.
So Mar clearly happy to keep taking shots to the end zone, but to me it just seems like Toronto haven't worked out an effective way through this zone. They keep trying to go through the middle and it keeps getting blocked. There was effectively 2 zone Ds on that possession as well. One of them they were able to rescue, but still, they haven't quite worked out how to pierce it. And again, another run-through block, this time coming from the wing position.
So McMaster, a chance on the end zone line here with Zoe picking up. Straight into the end zone for Mar. The second attempt at the back of the end zone is just in bounds. Sydney Walker with the goal, and McMaster tie this one up at 2-2.
Well, they all count, and I'm sure she'll say, yep, that's who I was aiming for the whole time. The little bit of a set play between the handlers, that was all just an illusion. But excellent heads-up defensive play on the back, or offensive play on the back of the end zone line. Always staying aware. If you're in that stack, a lot of people have a habit of just falling asleep. You've got to keep your heads up. There are discs to be rescued. People will overthrow them, and the wind will exert its influence as well.
Yeah, always stay on your toes. Always be ready to improvise if something breaks down as well. Some players getting too stuck in a system sometimes, not reacting when the disc goes up. So great to see McMaster always aware in that situation. And their zone defense there, so tight, so efficient, so many Ds pushing Toronto back into their end zone. If you're Toronto, how are you going to break out of that one?
I think the main thing they're not doing is swinging and then aggressively cutting afterwards. If they could swing to the sidelines and then have somebody cut, because something that happens with cups, and it's something that we haven't seen a lot of teams do, is if the disc moves, the zone moves, and then you move. Similar enough to how basketball would work. And as the zone moves, you time yourself so you move in the gaps, and you get a nice little inside backhand back to you, easy as you like, or a quick pop. And then once you're within the cup, you're able to throw from in the cup to out of it, as rather than trying to throw through it. And it just seems like Toronto keep trying to throw through it. And McMasters are doing a fantastic job of just slamming that door. So a bit more activity from their handler movement instead of their throwing.
So Tran now, the McMaster zone back, and unfortunately thinking about the throw. Zhang, you could see looking upfield, and that one bobbled away from her.
A classic error.
Lei will get a chance to pick up the disc here for McMaster, going upwind. The lefty handler looking for an option. Has a reset back in the middle, but that one's just shot behind the cut, and it'll gift the disc back to Toronto as Tran picks up immediately, looking for the huck. That one's gonna sail and sit up into the hands of Chen, but Chen immediately trying to move the disc, and again, that one bobbled out of the hands of her teammate.
It just seems like they're thinking about the throws before they make the catches, although you have got to say that was one hell of a throw by Tran. That was the best downwind throw I've seen all day.
Perfectly sat up into the hands of her receiver there as Tackleberry Giddens goes upwind the other direction. That one hanging short, and this time brought down by the defense. Huang Fu catching that one in a big grab there. I was too excited almost by that one.
Too excited, I just stuck out my hands.
My words. Lyle there making that grab, and now in on the sideline here with Chen. Confusion there between the teams of the double sideline observers making the call, though, as Zhang narrowly getting that one to Lyle, breaking it through the cup, and now on the far sideline, Lyle going 1 and 2 there. Has Tran back. Tran swinging that one around. Zhang with lots of time reels that one down. And now shooting it around flick. The wind is going to catch that one. Unfortunately, if you're going to put it up that high, you've got to be looking for a receiver on the far side of the field.
Again, exposing too much of the underside of the disc to the elements. And if you give an elephant a tree, it will push against it. Such are the rules of these windy conditions.
So Tackleberry Giddens will walk this one up for McMaster. And Toronto opting for the person-on-person defense here. The match set. McMaster able to set up a side stack.
They do enjoy the side stack, saw them do it in the end zone earlier on with the wind at their backs. Don't know how effective it would be going forward.
And that one just a miscue again on that throw, shot behind where the cut of Joyce Lei was headed. Lyle will get a chance to pick up and centers to Tran, and Tran, uncharacteristic, bobbles that one off her hands, and this is unfortunately what we're seeing right now from the Toronto offense.
It has seemed to be a story of drops for the Toronto side. Drops and throwing it straight into the main part of the zone.
Tackleberry Giddens will reset that one, and unfortunately another drop. We're going to see how many these teams can get away with before one of them cleans it up and starts pulling away here. So Tran looking for an option. The end zone stack already set up here from Toronto. Chen holsters that one. Has Lyle going up line, finds her. Lyle thinks about the break side shot and finds Huang Fu in the middle. Now around to Lyle again. Looking for an option. Tran to the end zone, and there's the goal. Catherine Zhang reels that one in. Toronto on what must have been their third or fourth attempt there, finally able to work it in patiently to the end zone.
Excellent stuff from Toronto in the end. And I have a bit of a theory for you, Rebecca. And that is, as you can see from the camera and the elongated shadows currently stretching their way across our pitch, the sun is setting behind us. And a lot of the drops seem to have been as people looking at the camera, looking at the booth to us. Now, it could be our, obviously undeniably good looks distracting them, or it could be a matter of the sun exerting just a little bit of pressure on some of those catches.
Yeah, absolutely. It's very easy to lose the disc when you do look into the sun. And if you're also thinking about the throw, a combination that is just deadly at this point. So 3-2 here for Toronto, leading over McMaster. We are on serve in this game still. Now trading the downwind points. Both teams able to go upwind right at the start of the game. We'll see what McMaster can generate going back the other way, the wind on their side. Seeing Sarah Marr back on the line, Ray out there, Floyd as well. So we're going to see a lot of the same faces. Toronto with a much smaller roster here as well than McMaster.
And that is something that you fear becomes more and more apparent as the day wears on. We saw it in the earlier exchanges. We saw it in the game just before us as well, as the Rams started to fall off. Can Toronto maintain this lead as the game wears on? And we've seen them falter in the second half earlier in this tournament as well. So a lot of, I suppose, naysayings for them to dismiss.
So that pull rolling out of bounds as McMaster will bring it in. A zone look here from Toronto. Marr in the middle now finds Floyd. Floyd looking for an option. Marr continues her cut, finds herself in open space, and now the flick shot. Sarah Marr, this one again to the open receiver who can't keep it in her hands. Sarah Marr has got to be feeling that one a little bit. That's two perfect flick throws to the end zone.
Now, if I was Marr, I would be getting closer and closer to yelling at my teammates at this point. Of course, that's why she's a much better player than I am in many different departments.
Tran now, tight zone again here from McMaster, running out of options, and Tran opts to put that one up and around to Huang Fu. Does give them some better field position, but unfortunately for Toronto, not a lot of options in the cutting lanes through that zone.
The wind really starting to blow across laterally the pitch from behind the camera to in front of it, and there Toronto get the disc back and give it away immediately.
Could see Tran excited. She had Jade Huang Fu there cutting deep for her already, but just couldn't get that one up, trying to keep it extra low in the wind, but unfortunately too low and immediately pushed to the ground.
I can tell you though, as far as throwing the disc away as soon as you get it goes, I don't mind that look. Wind is now trapping them on that sideline. A downwind hook would be a difficult thing to pull off and have it come back in, but apparently not so much.
When it's Sarah Marr with the disc, it's hard to say. That throw is such a good shot from her, able to sit it up, keep it just in bounds on that far sideline, and now Marr, again, feet just in bounds, swings it back to Ray, but this one bobbled once again, that one not looking at the sun there. See if Toronto can take advantage. They're just over the halfway line. This wind still howling down at them. Tran will look for an option. McMaster still in that zone set. Looking back, but a miscommunication there on who was supposed to be reeling that throw in, and immediately going deep to the end zone, but the wind catching that a little bit misread. You could see the sun possibly having an effect on reading that one as well.
That was a very difficult disc to try and bring in. Sarah Floyd seemed to just get a bit lost.
Tran now swings that one around. Lamb looking for an option, gets it around in Zhang. Tran again, the general of this offense. Creative flick thought there, trying to find some space through that four-person wall. McMaster, so much pressure on defense right now, and Elizabeth Ray is going to get to pick this one. Ashley Ray, sorry, pick this one up right on the corner of the end zone. Ray looking for an option, has a couple up line and gets the second one into the hands there, and that is a point and a hold. Kristen Tam with the goal. It is tied at 3-3.
I got to talk about that end zone play. I absolutely loved that end zone play. Kristen Tam starts directly in front of the handler, who's on the front corner next to the sideline, and immediately clears out. And I was like, what? She can't start there. That's just silly. And she immediately clears out and goes, okay, that's maybe for a break. It clears the defender out, and I imagine that would be quite effective of distracting a poach, which allowed them to try and get the up-the-line strike. When that didn't work, Lamb, she still doesn't stop running after clearing out. She just stops, turns, and goes right back up the line. Basic cut and ultimate, go up the line. And if you can win that foot race, you'll win every game of ultimate you'll ever play. Easy as you like for the score.
Puts you in a tough spot as a defender. If you let Tam go back there, they've got a wide open break side swing. If you follow her in too hard, she turns around and goes back the other way. Open up line. Like you said, I love that end zone play as well. See it quite often in the University Series, isolating a player right in front of the disc on the sideline, clearing out back up the line. So effective here.
Such a high stall count as well. It was wonderfully executed from the corner. Like, the precision to pull it off in that kind of a confined space is very impressive. So McMasters get rewarded with a point and keeping it nice and tight at 3-all here in the afternoon air.
Tackaberry Giddens with the pull. That one's going to sit up just before halfway. The zone look again. McMaster sticking with what is working for them. Lamb with the disc. Lamb trying to make the mark move and gets it around to Zhang on the far side. Back with Lyle now. Lyle, not too many swing options now as Lamb comes back. Fortunately, they keep getting trapped on that sideline as that one narrowly makes it through the gap. Lamb will find Lyle back. Lyle only has that sideline to go to as she gets the break off. Melanie Tran puts that one to Zhang. Low, but behind her, and Lyle keeps that one in her possession. Does a good job to get her hand to that one as now Zhao has it.
Lyle is so good at just rescuing errant dump passes, and that is an essential skill when you're playing against these zones. But again, the back throw is underthought and overcompensated for as the wind carries it out of bounds.
Yeah, not much Lyle could do about that one, even with her ability to reel in those passes. Joyce Lay will bring it inbounds here for McMaster. A chance to break upwind.
Let's see if they run a similar play.
That one just too low. Lay, I think, a little bit excited, had an open receiver in Jenny Chen there. Give Toronto the disc back as Lyle is going to immediately opt to put it deep. Not a bad option, trapped on that sideline. Didn't have anywhere else to go with that disc.
Not really, and she was able to keep it in bounds, which is one of the more difficult things to do in that situation. So they don't give up the short field for a second time.
So Chen with the disc now, a pick called upfield. Just deciding where the stall count will come back in. Signaling stall in on 4. Chen looking for an option, has Tackaberry Giddens, but a good hand there. The second effort, Tackaberry Giddens keeping her eyes on that one. That one's going to sit up in the wind, and this time Toronto, no problem hitting that one to the ground.
One of the most Canadian things I've ever seen. Zhang gets a run through D, immediately turns and apologizes to make sure the person who she made incidental contact with was okay, and then goes right back to playing incredibly intense.
Absolutely, and Zhang there picking it up and immediately pumping it downfield as well. Toronto happy to set their defense up down near this side with Lyle on the mark as Tackaberry Giddens looks for an option. Toronto doing a good job of keeping the crashes in. That one is going to boomerang back a little bit. Somehow thought that was reeled in, but some contact with her own teammate. And there looks to be an injury now on the field. McMaster down.
I'm not quite sure. I think it might have been McPherson. But you could see as she hit the ground, that snap back of your neck and the back of her head just went off the turf. And there's not a lot of give out there on that pitch. So we just hope she's okay. That's a Layla Zhu.
Yeah, Alicia Zhu with the hit on the ground there, colliding with her own teammate. It did look like she had the disc in her hand, so I wonder if it was stripped a little bit by the contact, but it does look like Mar is going to tap the ground here, and it will stay a turnover.
Olivia Wade must have covered about 30 yards chasing that disc. Unfortunately not able to get it in the end. As here come Toronto looking to punch it back in.
Lyle has Lamb going up line, but now no handler reset back as Zhang comes back, but can't keep that one in her hands. No options really for a reset there for Lyle as Mar is going to pick up that one and shoot it deep. This time Zhang reads that one well, moving it quickly now. Toronto looking for an option, gets it up line, and Zhao. Person-to-person defense now here from McMaster. Lyle has the option upfield. Melanie Tran putting that one, but unfortunately just too low. Chen trying to get that one reeled in with one hand and can't quite get there.
It bounces out of her fingers, and you have to consider how cold it is right now for some of those players. The longer these points go on, the longer your hands have been out of your pockets. And it just gets more and more difficult to grasp your fingers around the edge of that disc.
That one manages to go between traffic to the hands of Mar. Mar puts that upfield now. Wait, showing some patience, looking for the reset, has an option upfield, but it just sails over the head of Palmer there, trying to get to that one. And that one's picked off by Lei. A great run through D as she continues her cut to the end zone. Mar wasn't quite there yet. Now holstering and looking for another option. Looking for Tackaberry Giddens going up line, reels that in with one hand.
Like a bullfighter, yelling Olay as she pulls that away.
But that one just behind the cut of Mar, unfortunately. And it'll give Toronto a chance before the McMaster defense sets up to put a nice huck all the way down to the end zone, and just too far, but a good huck downwind there from Lyle. That one was sitting up for quite some time.
I think that's one of those classic mistakes where you think you've got time and Alice Zhao just watched it and then didn't speed up. Brilliant defensive effort.
The pressure there, Tayama Lyle getting herself up. Lei had to go up for the disc at the same time, and now Toronto going back towards the end zone as Lamb, the second attempt, reels that one in on the doorstep now. Toronto looking for an option as they have a wide open reset, and then into the end zone, a narrow window, but Lyle coming in with that one. Had another cut open as well, but had eyes only for Tayama Lyle, and there we go, Toronto taking the lead again at 4-3.
I have to say she had another about 5 cuts open, I think, if we're being fair. Once they got that swing across, they found the poach in the middle of the pitch, and she turned to look at the break side, and because obviously where the mark was supposed to be, the mark was too busy in the open side trying to cover that initial cut. 4 to 5 people, easy pass. She takes the hardest of them, but still, well done. Lyle on the receiving end, because seeing as the hook to Zoe didn't work, they just swapped the roles, and Zhu throws to Lyle for the score. 4-3. Thanks to opening up the game with that break, and then by giving it up and then recovering, they are in a commanding position afforded to them by winning the toss at the start of the match. And sometimes in these windy conditions, if it is particularly egregious, the toss is what winds up deciding the game. Do you think there's a chance that could happen? Because right now it doesn't seem like either team is able to score upwind, despite both of them doing it to start the game.
That's exactly what I was going to say. At this point, currently just trading these downwind points, both teams were able to get it upwind, so they know that they have the ability to do so, but it's going to take something special at this point to change up what they're doing. The defense is going on that upwind side, the zone's so tight, making them have to go for up high over the top throws that are catching the wind, and it's not working for either of these teams. So right now, we could be seeing a tight game with these downwind trades.
So now McMaster, the team who have to get an upwind in order to win this match, looking to confirm their downwind.
Ray shoots that one, looking downfield. It's going to sit up, but unfortunately misread there by Moore. Maya Moore didn't continue going deep and was open to go and get that one. Huang Fu tries to reel that one in.
Out of curiosity, what are the reading standards required for third level education in Canada? Because there's an awful lot of illiteracy out here on these pitches.
Yeah, the wind causing some problems, I think, for the players here. That one trying to go up line, but Sarah Mara was covered all the way. Now looking for Toronto to go back upfield.
When they were able to do it at the start of this game, it was down to hard cutting and just taking their time, relaxing, getting these pops off. But there needs to be some more aggressive hard cutting on the part of the handlers. That swing is fine, and as the cut moves across, there doesn't seem to be much attempt to hit a cutter in the middle of it. So where is the activity that makes those kinds of throws unnecessary? Unfortunately, I mean, as good as Tedesco is, she can't do much about that.
No, not too many options there. McMaster looking to the end zone now. Sarah Mar, that throw her favorite shot. This one just too far out of the hands of the receiver. Can't count the number of times Mar has looked to that position now on the field. That one just carrying a little bit too fast with the wind.
You've got to forgive my lack of knowledge of Canadian geography, but wherever McMaster's is based, I want to go throw in a mixed team there. Mar can put discs.
Tran puts that one up. It's going to sit a bit in the wind, but this one, Ray gets to it before Huang Fu.
Angrily gets to it. Down.
Just will be picked up again here now. Zoe looking for an option, has Mar cutting to the near sideline, and a huge layout D. Jade Huang Fu gets her hand to that one and immediately trying to go deep. Ray again in the position. Unfortunately, that turnover from Huang Fu wasted a bit there from Toronto.
How many times are we going to see people go for curling outside in backhand hooks, right to left? The wind is coming from that side. Inside out that backhand.
Floyd now. Tight match defense here, and a hand goes up there from Tedesque, getting to that one. And it looks like an injury called here in the middle of the field now as play will stop for Toronto.
All right, well, let's take a second to talk about Bethlehem Tedesque and the defensive show she has put in. There's been a lot of drops. There's been a lot of throwing it into the middle of the zone, which you can kind of give to nerves, inexperience, and then I suppose just tactics in general. When it comes to singular defensive plays, Tedesque has 3 fantastic ones so far. Head up, always involved in the action, and even when she isn't, she is the kind of athlete who can make themselves involved in the action, provided it goes on long enough, which it frequently does in these conditions. Incredibly impressive performance defensively. I haven't seen her with the disc in her hands. I haven't seen her get free.
Yeah, we'll see if she can get herself more involved in the offense here as Lyle has it. Again, the 4-person cup here from McMaster, tight on defense as it gets swung to the far side for Zhang. Zhang pointing to where she wants her cutters to be as Huang Fu crashes into the middle of the cup. Going up line, Zhang keeping her feet in bounds now. Has Huang Fu cutting in and finds her. Being forced back now, Toronto, as Lyle couldn't go anywhere but into that back space. Tessie now getting some space upfield, trapped still on that far sideline. Zhang has Tessie back. Lyle, no options to get it around here as Huang Fu has to crash in again. Zhang finds Tessie back. Good fakes there. Just hugging that sideline now. No other options. The same movement here from Toronto as McMaster is forcing them in. A good break throw from Lyle there. Can they take advantage? Huang Fu stuck again in that position. Goes through the cup. Narrow gap. Tessie reels that one in. Holsters the throw upfield. McMaster putting on a lot of pressure. Comfortable to have Toronto make as many reset throws as they want, but not too many upfield options here as a shot now goes through the cup, but unfortunately bobbled off the hands of King. Can't keep that one in play. McMaster putting on the pressure and a timeout called by Mar.
You got to appreciate that decision. She knows this thing has just been going back and forth, and it's starting to just descend into pandemonium. People are throwing up discs. People don't know when to cut. People aren't reacting on the transition because at this point there's been so many transitions in a point. Why would they be large occasions? And that is the exact moment you need to call a timeout, when the disc stops being valuable. Because even at the highest level, you'll have points where everyone on the pitch will just go, yeah, well, disc isn't that valuable anymore, so let's take the crazy shots. Let's do the risky things. And that is when a team can really take advantage and push you down into the ground to a position from which you cannot get back up. So I think McMasters are recognizing that. They're like, they've come pretty close to a couple of upwind breaks here. We need to stop, because I think the next upwind break is going to win the game.
Yeah, I've got to agree with you on that one. I love this call just in front of the brick mark here. They've got about 20 yards to go to the end zone, a chance to really set something up. We'll see what they can do. And again, I think you're absolutely right that getting it upwind can definitely be a game changer here. So we'll see what McMaster come out with, what's on the playboard for this one. Mar will have the disc. Should be at stall 1. She called that stall count as soon as she, sorry, the timeout as soon as she picked it up. The offense is set. They've got 3 handlers out here, putting 4 into the stack. Toronto putting on a bit of a clamp there as the disc gets tapped in with Mar. And immediately a pick called. So the players will catch up. Mar still in possession of the disc. Disc back in play. Mar shoots to the near sideline. Walker looking for the next option. That one just behind where the cut was coming. That's not going to work as Sammy Y can't get there. Zhang now with the disc for Toronto. Finds Tessie back. That one lasered around the back, but it works as Lyle reels it in.
But you see what I'm talking about in that no handler moves after throwing it. No one's trying to give that second option through a now moving cup, as McMaster's confirmed the score.
McMaster immediately taking advantage of the turnover this time, tying it back up at 4-4, trading the downwind point. And you're right on that one. The Toronto handlers need to make that cut move, especially with a 4-person cup. There's so much pressure through there that if they can open up the backfield by making that cut move, there's a lot of space backfield. There's less mids up there. So throw and go, give and go, follow your pass. Totally agree. They need to create some more movement with their handlers.
Even there with the swing, as it came across, and there was 4 people back, which I think is fine against a cup. It's honestly how I'd prefer to play it. 4 people, 2 properly pinned back, 2 kind of pushing up a little bit on the sidelines. And as they swing it around, once the second person gets it, so one of the 2 people in the middle, as they swing it to the other person in the middle, they should attack down the line, which means there are now 2 opportunities. One to go to the sideline to complete the swing, and another one to go back through the middle, which can then initiate a swing in the opposite direction. But that second cut, that cut from one of the middle handlers to try and take control of the offense, isn't coming. And they're really struggling to get any real downfield penetration. The other side of it is, if that person makes that cut and you instead swing it out to the other sideline, that person can keep going, and all of a sudden you might be able to skip the wing with a nice around pass, or at least get it a little bit further down the pitch. They are just ever so slightly stagnating.
So we'll see if they can create more movement now. McMaster trying to get an upwind break here as Tackleberry Giddens set to pull. That one's going to roll a bit upfield. Manages not to come back. That's a good pull here.
That was quite impressive in fairness. It kind of like laterally moved across the pitch for a while.
Tessie goes back, and that one's picked off in the middle of the field. McMaster, a great opportunity here. Katie Jin with that D.
Fantastic block, sprinting through. McMaster's been doing an awful lot of that.
Chen now. Good tight defense here, goes back to Lay. Inside shot, Tackleberry Giddens now. 15 yards from the end zone, a pick called.
And they are inside the red zone, which on this actual pitch is marked out by a blue line. So we'll call it the blue zone. They are inside the blue zone. At a critical moment in the match, as our cameraman slowly dies of pneumonia beside us.
Tackleberry Giddens finds Lay. Unfortunately slipping on the reset. Lay has to go forward. Huang Fu coming through with the huge layout D. Survives the contact, immediately pops up. And now Toronto, the disc back in their possession, but can't take advantage. There was some contact there on the reset cut. See if it goes back, but Jade Huang Fu, that's the second layout D we've seen. Full extension for that one.
Let's just take a second and let's just talk about that D for a while. Oh my god. She gets completely horizontal. She's about 4 foot off the air. And when you're about 4.5 feet, that's a substantial distance off the air. She gets the D as it's about to be caught, but clean, and she catches it. That is probably the best defensive play I've seen all day.
Absolutely incredible.
Whew. And that's the second one of those she got. That first one she got was almost, apart from the fact she didn't catch the first one, was almost just as spectacular. She is busting in shop windows and robbing them blind out there, but they cannot take advantage on the offensive end because the other one was also upwind for a pretty short field. And they couldn't punch it in that time either.
So we'll see what the resolution is here. I think the discussion is just whether or not the foul affected the play. Did look like they agreed that there was contact on the reset cut. That throw, though, was low in the wind. Observers coming in. Once the players do ask the observers for the ruling, that ruling does stand. Discussion ensuing here. Lamb, observer is going to make a ruling, it does look like. So it was actually an uncontested foul. I think the discussion may be just about where the disc should be. It will come back into the hands of Lamb as if she had made the catch off the reset cut.
Okay, so Toronto still have a chance.
Now being forced back into their own end zone as Emily Tran looks for an option, has Tessie. Being pushed back again, Tran.
And all the time.
Low on options, has to go for the big shot. That one read effortlessly by the fender, gets both hands up there. Defensive play made, and Joyce Lee will get to bring it in to play. McMaster on the doorstep, stuck on that far sideline.
This is the closest they've been since they scored here.
And into the end zone, but bobbled out of the hands of Zhu. Same player who made the defensive play there can't get the double happiness.
Now you can't watch this game and tell me anything other than the next person to get an upwind wins, if there is another upwind. It just seems like destiny herself is trying to make these teams know that the next upwind wins. That's the second or third drop, two hands drop we've seen in the end zone. Will we see a fourth?
Hard to say at this point. We have seen both teams able to go upwind right at the start of the game. Maybe just need to have some more confidence at this point. Tackleberry Giddens will pick this one up. McMaster, again, a chance on the doorstep here. Disc in play, looking for an option, goes low around. A great break throw there from Tackleberry Giddens. Makes it look easy, and McMaster, their upwind point, and they take their first lead since the very first point of the game.
And it's another upwind break that gets it for them. 5-4. Bear in mind they started on defense, so taking a lead into the second half is absolutely huge for them. That was a wonderful throw from Tackleberry Giddens. Just the little shimmy, the shoulder shake, and then you fake him. I mean, like Kareem Abdul, just dream shake. Just fake him that way, and then you move to the other side, get slow, flick, perfect chest height, nice speed to be caught for the point. Everything that had been missing from previous shots to the end zone. Well taken in. Look, again, another fantastic cut set up in the end zone. You see McMaster seem to really have clarity when it comes to those end zone sets. Even on the drop that they had beforehand. That was one cutter. He was very open and probably should have caught it. But you have to commend the clarity that they bring to this end zone cutting. It's really impressive, and it will definitely be one of the things that sets teams apart tomorrow in Div 1.
Yeah, absolutely. So now we're going to see if your theory is right. If Toronto can find a response upwind, see what they can accomplish here. Looking ready to go. McMaster likely to come out with another zone. Lyle centers that one to Tran. The zone look, Tran immediately moving through. Chen does a good job to go to that disc. Lyle has an in cut and finds it. Putting it back, Lyle, a mainstay handler on this offensive unit. Lyle going 1 and 2 there, has it on the far sideline. Now back to Tran. Tran trying to shoot that one through the cup and just puts it directly into the ground on the brick mark here for McMaster.
So this is a big moment. Can McMaster cash in the upwind break? They were unable to last time. They didn't even get a chance at it.
Zhao finds Floyd. Floyd goes for the high release backhand, and that one slips through the hands of Tam. Immediately Tran going upfield is going to find Zhang. Zhang going to put it again. That one manages to stay in the hands. Chen reeling that one in 2 yards from the end zone now. Doesn't have an option, finally gets it back with Emily Tran.
She went from being the one person with the disc to having everybody in front of her.
Tran shoots that one to Zhang, but again, Ashley Ray, it's got to be her third or fourth D of this game, always heads up, getting her hand to that one again.
And always willing to pick up that disc immediately on the other side.
And immediately puts it deep. Unfortunately, that one was pushed out of bounds. It's going to be a little bit further upfield than where it landed, just before the halfway line. Toronto looking to take advantage upwind as that zone is going to immediately trap them on the far sideline. Lyle has Tran. Tran goes up line. That one sits up into the hands of Chen, just inbounds. Narrowly so as Tran has it back again. Tran, this one is going to work through the cup to the far side.
I love the little debate there about who was going to go get that when it bounces out of the hands up to Des, and she can't collect it on the second attempt.
That one just bobbled out of her hands, like you said, tried to go for the second attempt, but McMaster heads up on defense. Mar with the disc. Mar looking for Floyd cutting under, and this one's picked off by Zhang as Floyd had actually stopped her cut.
So now Toronto, can they do what they did at the start of this game and immediately erase the upwind break of McMaster?
Tran shoots that one. It's going to float up into the end zone, and it's brought down. Zhang gets her hand to it through the traffic, and there you go. So it wasn't the next upwind point to win the game. Toronto responding right away to tie it back up.
Like Lazarus's hand rising out of the soil of all the other players, she clasped that one. That seems somewhat like a miracle, but you have to have a couple of saviors on your team if you want to make it to Div 1. Absolutely fantastic effort from Zhang, and that's twice now the McMasters have gotten upwind breaks and Toronto have just come right back out and gotten an upwind offense eradicating them. Bear in mind, Toronto are yet to get a break, but they are yet to let a break go unanswered either, and that's how they remain in the driver's seat of this game. Yet to get an upwind break. They do immediately respond with a downwind break, which they'll have to do now, but you have to say I think they're going to.
Wind definitely on their side. We'll see if McMaster can respond right away. Another upwind point here would certainly put us another stamp on this game here for the team in white. And we'll see Mar and Lei back on the line. So dominant in this game. Tackleberry Giddens, absolutely phenomenal offensive unit here from McMaster. See if they can do something against the defense and the wind here. Lyle set to pull. Big pull here from Toronto. Mar will reel that one in and send it to Lei right away. Back to Mar. Trying to move it before that zone sets up, and they get it through the cup. You can see Mar always looking for the holes on the first option and then hitting the reset. That one bobbled but kept in possession this time. Now the far sideline. Chen and Mar going 1 and 2 there. Shot into the middle with Zhu. That one popped up a little bit high, but Joyce Lee, no problem. Tackleberry Giddens, that one's going to float, and this time Tedesque coming down with it. McMaster working it so well up the field, unable to take advantage. Tessie now. McMaster in their zone set here again as Lyle has it. Lyle has Huang Fu. Going back to Lyle.
Now, if I was Toronto in this situation, I'd really start thinking about the old huck and pin. They went for it to an extent, but it didn't quite work out. Excellent defense.
That one a little bit low and read well there. It's going to give McMaster another chance. That one picked off. Lyle,
short-lived chance.
Reading that one, she wanted it back from the previous throw. Immediately gets it, and now going to Tessie, and Tackleberry Giddens, a hand to it. The second attempt can't be reeled in by Zhao there. Alice Zhao trying to get one hand on it. This one you can see Lei.
This is another point where everything's kind of descending into Magnus, Becky.
We'll see who can come out on top of this one. Chen shooting in. Lyle again, the run through D. The defensive pressure here has turned on to another level. Tessie holsters the huck on this one. Doesn't have the option back. Has Lyle going up line and finds her. Now Lyle will shoot to the end zone. That one floating, looking for Huang Fu, and that is the receiver that you want going to the end zone, but that one too far to make a play on it.
Let me ask a quick, harsh question. Has the defensive pressure stepped up, or has the offensive effort dropped off? I think it's the latter.
So I did have to disagree with you on that one. I think it's a little bit of both. I do think the decisions need to be double checked, but I think that the speed and the intensity of some of these Ds have definitely increased.
All right, Layla, sorry, who's been absolutely phenomenal on this point.
Tessie reels that one in from Lyle. Lyle controlling this point. Now looking for the next option. That one picked off, and this one just into the poach. Didn't see Tackaberry Giddens at all there.
I'm not sure if Tackaberry Giddens has been incredibly influential or if it's that she has two names, but she keeps coming up.
Mara will shoot that one over the top into coverage. Lots of traffic again there and the contact, but this one's just going to fall to a turnover. Tayama Lyle get a chance to pick up. You can hear her calling the play here, looking for an option. Immediately thought she had Huang Fu going deep. Huang Fu unfortunately had already started that cut under.
Seems a little bit like the cutters, or the throwers even, are seeing the cut, then assuming the cut is going to be continued and throwing about 2 seconds after they first saw it without looking at it again. Because that's the third turnover we've seen in recent points where it was just thrown directly into a poach or into a space where nobody was cutting anymore.
So McMaster trying to work it out of their own end zone now. Mar with the disc is going to put it around to Lei. Lei has resets back with Chen. Now Tackaberry Giddens again faking the flick around, has Mar. Mar wanted that around shot, such a dangerous shot into the wind to make. Now goes through the cup, finds the hole. Tackaberry Giddens going 1 and 2 now. Holstering for that next option and goes around to Chen. Lei has an option through the middle. Lei doing a good job of getting one hand to that one as Chen has it up line. Chen with the big pump fake. Now Mar wide open in space. Mar is going to put that one going around to the end zone, but has so many receivers now to the space, and they reel it in. Another upwind point. Quinn McPherson with the goal here for McMaster, and now we're trading the other direction.
3 upwinds in a row, just going to show you that I don't know what I'm talking about. Never have, apparently never will. Guess I'll just have to get used to it. What I want to know is why when that disc went up, were there 3 McMasters players in the Toronto end zone and just Lyle?
Yeah, I think at that point, Toronto hadn't managed to transition from their zone back to person defense. Nobody calling it off, not a lot of communication going on. And unfortunately, like you said, just Lyle in that space did everything she could, but not much you can do at that point. It does look like now that we're taking a timed half here in this game. So teams will take a short break. You can see the observers talking to each other. It has been over an hour in this game already, so we're going to take a short break ourselves as well, try and warm up a little bit, and we'll be back in a couple minutes. McMaster leading by 1. Welcome back here to the 2018 Canadian University Ultimate Championships here at Friday qualifier action. The women's game to go between McMaster and Toronto just took a timed half there. McMaster leading by 1 point at 6-5, and now with that halftime mirrored halves, of course, Toronto have to start on defense going upwind, and only about 20 minutes or so left in this game, so need to create some magic right off the bat. It's Becky Thompson here, Lorcan Murray, and what a first half we just saw.
What a first half, concluding with 3 upwind points in a row, showing you just how close this game is, as now Toronto need to respond as they have on the 2 previous iterations with an upwind hold of their own.
Lei gets it tapped in, going to Chen, who has to get low to keep that one in possession. Lei has Mar on this near sideline. Zone look, Mar going for the around shot, but it's picked off by the deep defender, doing a good job to read that one. And immediately McMaster setting up their defense. It's been putting on so much pressure on this Toronto team throughout the course of this game, as now Lamb has it.
So they've completed the first part of the puzzle. They've gotten the disc back. Lamb, a fantastic deep defender, able to sneak in and get it. But unfortunately, they can't complete the move.
That one just a little bit behind where the cut of Zhao was headed, as Zhang wanted to get it upfield. And now Lei a chance, tap it in. Has the reset back with Mar. Mar holsters the break shot and has an open cut, and Chen bobbling the second attempt, unable to keep her hands on it. That one you could tell thinking about the throw, and then a huge huck is gonna sit up and fall back in the wind, crowds of people, and then it's picked off again by McMaster, immediately cutting deep. McPherson doing such a good job to transition quickly there.
Yes, the eponymously named McPherson with a fierce play.
An uncharacteristic drop from Sarah Mar. We haven't seen that yet in this game. Zhang will immediately shoot deep. A great shot there. Give Toronto the opportunity that they need. But Lamb didn't see the person coming up beside her, but it did look like maybe some contact made with the throw. Hard to see from our angle.
That looked incredibly close. And what you have to ask is, as Li Zhu was running through, was the disc thrown at her back, or did she run through the disc, knocking it out of Lamb's hands? That's Diana Lamb, one of the main handlers, not to be confused with Candice Lamb, one of their main cutters.
So we'll see what the resolution will be. It was hard to tell. It was awfully close, whatever the outcome is here. Definitely did not see Zhu running beside her.
I could see it though as she was winding up for the flick. You're like, oh no, 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 no. There's a defender very nearby.
So it does look, I think, like it will stand as it is, so no call on the play. Observers ruling that there was no foul. The disc was released after Zhu had passed her.
I'd have to agree with that call.
And Joyce Lee shooting deep, a great huck here, easily reeled into the hands of Walker.
We call that legal tender, by which we mean it was money.
Walker now looking for the reset. That one pops over the hands of Chen, and the second attempt is reeled in by Zhang here for Toronto. Great grab, keep that one in possession.
That's Lamb to Lamb. And Lamb is just putting her body on the line for the team.
Tran shooting that one a little bit too low, has to be careful there. Emily Tran getting low, great shot to Candice Lamb, some contact on the mark. Lamb has Lamb back. Diana Lamb now. Great break around the mark, looking for Tran, but that one easily picked off just behind. Joyce Lee will go deep. Now that one, just too much inside-out edge on that one, almost a little bit too casual. A nice open cut there, though, for McMaster. Toronto's going to have to find a way to readjust here on their transition, starting to look a little bit tired in the later stages of this game. Zhang now in possession here for Toronto, swinging it around through the cup. Lamb finds Emily Tran back. Now Diana Lamb again. McMaster trying to push this Toronto unit back into their own end zone here. Not too many options. Tran doesn't want that, shoots it upfield and finds Candice Lamb. These throws starting to work a little bit better here for the Toronto offense.
What a time for them to really start being effective as well. The deep shots have only gotten better as the game's worn on.
These teams adapting to the conditions as the game has gone on, as the day has gone on. Zhang putting that one, has two receivers, both who read it better than the defender, but didn't communicate with each other, and unfortunately Dean their own teammates on that one.
Yeah, a bit of a miscommunication, as it really looked like Toronto were going to be able to take that one in.
Mar now. See, Mar wanted that deep strike, this time going up line, reeled in by the defender. Zhang getting her hand to that one first. Everything on in this game right now as Emily Tran has it back here for Toronto.
And they're a little bit more stymied by the defense on this time. They couldn't get a quick throw out. Now they're stuck in their own end zone. Will they go back to that swinging without the active cutting? No, instead they opt for a huge blade.
Unfortunately, that one dropped here by Jessica Chen. Another good throw. Emily Tran able to get it out of the zone here for Toronto. Now McMaster looking to take advantage. The inside shot looking for Sarah Marr. Picked off. Unfortunately, the Toronto player there just set her pivot foot in the end zone before walking it up. So they'll have to start in their own end zone. Zhao goes back to Tran. Tran around to Lamb. Tran again stuck deep in their end zone, shoots it out, and that's a good decision and into the hands of King, but bobbled. Emily Tran managing again to get it out and to a receiver. Toronto can't hang on.
No, Toronto could do a few favors for their handlers by grabbing some of these difficult discs. As you see again, Mar, who is always their target at the front. Some brilliant defense initially by Zhang, that time by Lamb, to make it a difficult throw to get it to her as they continue to isolate her.
Only option is back with Tran now. Tran goes around to Zhang. Tran really doing a good job in this upwind, but that one, Zhang just shoots behind her, and a gift on the doorstep here. McMaster, a chance to punch this in, get the natural break out of half here as well. A chance to have the biggest lead of this game so far. Chen will tap it in. Looking for Mar, dancing a little bit, but gets it on the reset. And now to the end zone. This huge layout grab that was not intended for Walker, but coming down with it anyways. Sydney Walker with the grab, the biggest lead of this game so far. They lead now 7-5 over Toronto.
Walker like a Texas Ranger out there patrolling the end zone and bringing that one in. Full extension layout. May have made it through to the intended receiver, could have gotten D'd by Toronto. Why let those risks play themselves out when you can just commit full body, full mind, full soul and get that crucial score? This is the largest lead we've seen in the game. It is the first 2-point gap we've seen in the game. And of course we see it as we enter the final 20 minutes of this matchup.
Absolutely what these teams need to put out there right now. Absolutely everything if they want to come away with this win. Toronto needs to find a response here, and they need to do it quickly. About 13 minutes now until hard cap. Hard cap going at 5:25 p.m. here, so they'll really have to find a way to respond. We'll see what they can do. A quick downwind hold is absolutely necessary, though.
Just bear in mind, with the hard cap, if there are 2 points in the difference, game's over.
McMaster set to pull here. That one is going to go quite low and just skip over the halfway line. Emily Tran will run down to pick this up. McMaster, a slightly different zone look. No, now it's the same. That classic 4-person cup. 1 on the mark and 3 in the wall as Tran looks back to Lyle. Now Tessie. making the cup move a little bit as she gets the around shot to Tran. Tran does a good job of breaking the mark here, and now upfield, not quite the right shot there, unfortunately for Melanie Tran. Huang Fu, again, wasn't actually cutting upfield any longer, had started to come under.
Now that disc touched the line as it landed, so it did come back inbounds. Although the discussion seems to be about where it is. The observer comes over just to confirm.
Takaberry Giddens milks that one upfield, and now shooting deep. That one is going to sit up towards the end zone. McMaster reeling it in. Leisha Zhu with the goal and extending their lead to 3 points here with 10 minutes remaining in the game. McMaster now in the driver's seat towards Division 1.
And that's what we were talking about earlier on, Becky. The shots have gotten better as the teams have become more accustomed to the weather. That leading pass upwind looked better than a lot of the shots we saw in either direction by either of these squads. And McMaster's really starting to tighten their grip around the throat of this game. Looking at that Div 1 spot, they want to return to the promised land. They want to show what they're capable of against the best of this nation. And right now they're showing just what they're capable against the best of the Toronto University team. 3 points down, 10 minutes left, and you need to go upwind, downwind within those 10 minutes in order for it to just stay a game when the time goes. Do you think they're capable of it?
At this point, I'm not sure with the amount of time left. It did look like Toronto was the one who called the timeout here, trying to stop the momentum of McMaster, but at this point, not enough time really left to do that in this situation. 10 minutes on the clock. See if they can accomplish anything. They'll have to respond quickly upwind. It is possible they are on offense. A clean offensive hold could keep them in the conversation here. Just need to get it within one before the hard cap horn goes. But they'll have to go upwind at least twice now and get one more upwind break if they want to stay in this game. So McMaster likely to come out in that tight zone defensive look again. It's been so valuable for them throughout this game. Fortunately, execution errors playing a big effect here on Toronto. The likes of Emily Tran able to figure out that zone, get so many throws out around the wall now, but a lot of drops occurring, and Toronto's going to want to readjust and try and refocus in on some of that. They're going to have a clean game for the remainder of these 10 minutes if they want to stay involved.
And it's unfortunate as well because initially they were trying to go through the cup. They were having difficulties. It was getting D'd, but these last few points, they've worked out how to get around it, and the throws have been getting dropped. And that's the problem with drops. I mean, you can do everything right and it can still be dropped, and it still happens at the highest level. There's no tactical adjustment you can make when it comes to drops. I mean, people say it in spirit circles all the time. We just need to focus more on our catches, but that's empty calories as far as I'm concerned. Empty calorie coaching, like that's a superfluous sentence.
So Lyle with the disc puts that one around to Zhao. Zhao fakes the through the cup shot. Tayama Lyle now again with the disc, goes around the cup. Those are the shots that have been working for them. No option right away after those. Huang Fu has to center it back to Lyle again. And the crash there from Huang Fu opened up some space. Lyle doing a good job to see it. So now Lam has it and puts it around. Immediately swinging it upfield now to Zhang. Zhang is going to go up. Two receivers in the space, but the deep defender does her job. McPherson getting her hand to that one between two receivers.
McPherless stepping up between two receivers and smashing that one down. And I really thought the likes of Tedesque might be able to take it down. Her prowess seems to be almost exclusively on the defensive end, though.
Joyce Lee puts that one all the way down. That's sitting up beautifully, and Walker, a great deep receiver, gets her hands both onto that disc. Now looking for the next option, finds Mar through some traffic. Sarah Mar now looking for the next option. Has the inside flick shot, but just into some traffic. Looks like she got a little bit too excited by McPherson on that far sideline. Giving the disc back to Lyle here, but bobbled off the hands of Lamb. And this point in the game just coming to a close here. McMaster can really put this away if they can score this point. Bobbled, and it's none other than Sydney Walker coming down with it. Her hands like glue in that end zone, and they lead now 9-5. 7 minutes left on the clock. Not much that Toronto can do to get themselves back into this one now.
I mean, maybe we should check her hands for glue, because those are some fantastic grabs she's made in the last few exchanges. I think it's important to note, I believe Toronto were up 5-4 and have now had the same amount of points they scored in the game, scored on them in a row. And you can kind of tell from the body language as they make their way back to the line. There's 7 minutes left. There's 5 points in it. It's just an insurmountable task.
Yeah, at this point, McMaster is the team that will head to Division I Nationals this weekend, and that's what you want to see from a Division I team, the ability to continue your momentum throughout the course of the game. Even when it's tight and close, they never looked too scared. They never looked worried, always in control despite it being tied at 5s. And like you said, they were down 5-4 at one point, and now a 5-point run. All it took was a little bit of momentum on their side, and you can't stop them at this point.
So Toronto once again running into that issue they had in their opening game of the day. Second half stamina. They just seem to have run out. They were very close in their first half of their opening game. They were able to run out in the second one where they were fairly decidedly the better side. And then in this one again, when it gets close, they can keep it tight for most of the game. They were always chasing it despite starting with offense. They'd always have to respond. The first aggressive move was always made by McMaster. First break, McMaster. They had to respond. They had to get a break back. Second break, McMaster. They responded. McMaster broke immediately back again. McMaster have always led this dance. And now it seems like they're just trying to lay Toronto gently to rest.
Sarah Floyd unfortunately put that one up straight into the wind, and it blew right back out of bounds the other way, so it will be brought to the middle of the field. Toronto a chance to set up an end zone play right away here. Emily Tran bringing this one in bounds. 5 minutes remaining in this one. Huang Fu making a cut. Isolated in the middle, gets it. The inside shot there from Tran. The next option not obvious as there's a pick called. A lot of congestion in the middle of that end zone. Jade Huang Fu will tap it back in. Looking for an option, looks for the around. Instead has Tessie back for the reset. Tessie fakes the break side shot. Huang Fu going to the open side now, and now Tran comes under. The only option left for Toronto. Wide open upline cut. Diana Lamb hangs on with her momentum there, and you kind of wonder where that discipline has been through the rest of that game. A great end zone there fundamentally from Toronto.
And so far in this game, McMaster have always looked like they had the edge when it came to that end zone set. But right there, we got to see a side of Toronto that, like you say, Becky, we haven't seen so far in the game. This is the wrong time to start busting out that kind of precision. But still good to show that they have that spirit and they were able to fight it off until the end. I think both sides thought the game was over and have now been informed that it in fact isn't.
Yeah, still a few minutes remaining on the clock. Time for at least one more point, maybe two.
A lot of people putting on coats, as you can see the interest in this game really starting to wane. I always see how invested teams are by the amount of players in coats by the end of the match.
Yeah, absolutely, and we're seeing the same players, the top line for McMaster still on the field. They're taking no chances here. Exactly what you want to see at this point. 3 minutes remaining. This could be the last point. We'll see how long it takes. A quick huck play here from McMaster, and we could be getting one more after this, but at this point, we know McMaster headed to Division I. Toronto played a fairly good game. Unfortunately, a slump in the last 20 minutes or so of the game, allowing McMaster to really go on a run here. McMaster obviously taking advantage of that. Well-deserved, earning their bid as Zhang will pull here now. A great pull for Toronto. One of the best upwind pulls we've had actually in a while here. Toronto busting out all their best moves now in the dying exchanges. Zone look here from Toronto as Lei has to go over to the sideline. Now Mara through the cup. Lyle wanted to pick that one off, but Lei keeps it in possession, and Mar again with the disc now. Mar threading the needle to Walker. And a strip called, no contest immediately there from Melanie Tran. Lay, back to Mar. Mar, again, beautifully through.
Gets away with
attempt. Like you said, getting away with it there as it's reeled in by Katie Jin. Now back to Mar. Mar to the end zone for Walker, and this time Walker dropping this one. Surprising to see her on the other side of that.
Maybe she washed her hands thinking the game was over and all the glue's come off now. But I tell you, McMasters are far from becoming unstuck themselves as they seem pretty locked in to Div 1 at this point in the contest.
Picking it off there. Sarah Mara will pick this one up on the end zone line. A pick was called.
And that will carry us over the time cap.
Still have yet to hear the horn, so see how quickly they can get this in. Chen looking to the end zone. That one is too low. Sydney Walker making a good in cut. Tran immediately picks up, and Tran shooting the around flick, but Joyce Lay easily picked off, casually tapped to the ground. McMaster looking set to punch their spot into the Division 1 championships this weekend. Another pick called in the middle of the field. Lyle on the mark here as Mar taps it in. Mar looking for Walker. Sydney Walker in the end zone right as the horn goes. McMaster headed to CUUC Division 1 here. Definitely earned their spot. Toronto looking a little bit defeated. A hard game for them. They will play in Division 2 this weekend, but right now it is all about McMaster.
And how apt was that? The timing of that final point coinciding with the phenomenal timing that McMaster have shown throughout this game. Getting the breaks. When they put on the pressure, it was the appropriate time. When they went on the run, when they took their first lead, they never looked back. Every advantage, they were able to use their opportunities when they came. Some absolutely fantastic plays across the board, although I have to say Sydney Walker showed up in the ladder exchanges and really took over that game. Brilliant stuff. Of course, Mar was fantastic from start to finish with so many great throws. Zhu as well on the defensive end. Zhao and I believe it was Takaberry Giddens, who is probably my MVP. I was trying to think who my MVP of the game would be. I'd probably give it to Takaberry.
Yeah, it's between Takaberry, Giddens, Mar, and Walker. At this point, they earned their spot. They've done it Division 1, and all three of them, for me, absolutely outstanding in this game. Hard for me to choose. Walker in the second half, especially Mar throughout the game. Takaberry Giddens was just so consistent, and that is what you want to see, more depth from a team going to Division 1. So we're set with another team qualified, the women's division set for Division 1 finals. Tomorrow we've got more live stream action for you. We can tell you already who the games are going to be. 9:55 a.m. Eastern Time, we will be streaming Guelph versus Dalhousie from the Open Division. After that, at 1:15 p.m., we'll have Queens versus Manitoba, also in the Open Division game. Some good showdowns there. And then at 4:35 p.m., the Queens women versus Waterloo women. That one is the game to watch of the day tomorrow. Those two teams have played each other twice this season, both going 1-1, one win apiece. A 2-point win in one game, a universe point in the other, so that is going to be a showdown. It's Becky Thompson here, joined by Lorcan Murray. We will be back all day for you tomorrow. Please tune in with us then.